Title belts to Hall of Fame. Doug and Tommy carved the name. Fists of fury and hearts of gold. Every story, every fight retold. Tales of glory, laughter, cry. Tennessee warriors with hearts open wide. In the ring or on the air, legends living without a care. On the mic they roar, on the mat they soar. Dangerous conversations, fans wanting more. Guys, kings ruling the waves. Memphis wrestling raising the stage.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Dangerous Conversations with Dangerous Doug Gilbert and Tommy Wildfire Rich. Tommy, welcome back, man. We missed you last week.
Yes, sir. It's good to be back, man. I missed y'all too. I missed y'all.
Man, I told Gene, you said that did we make it without you? And I told him that I told you we sure struggled, but we got through
it. Just barely.
But anyway, man, it's a good week. We all here, Gene, and the weather's. I mean, it might be a little bit nippy outside, but it's getting warmer as we go. I think by the weekend it's supposed to be about 82 degrees here, so everything we headed towards summer. That's a good thing.
Yeah, we had one more blast of winter here this week before we start heading towards summer, but it'll be here in a couple of days apparently, according to the weatherman. So,
yes, sir. And Gene, this drops Friday. Tommy, Saturday, you've got a big day, right?
Yes, sir. Saturday going up to Brentwood, New York for the big event. Well, I tell you, it is a big one too. They said they got over like 100 guys on that thing.
Man, that will be great. And everybody needs to come out and see Tommy and the guys and everything, and they have a big time. But if you're down here in my part of the world, down here in Tennessee, in Jackson, Tennessee, this Saturday night, Jackson, Tennessee, the 21st, we'll be at the Picture Perfect Event Center, and it's a cool building for wrestling. It'll be myself, Dangerous Doug there, Jerry the King Lawler will be there. Quite a few of us will be there, and it's going to be a big show. It's actually like the third annual Burt Prentice Memorial Show, I think is what they're calling it and everything. But, man, it's just going to be cool to be back there and get to see the fans here close to home, Gene. It'll be a good night.
Absolutely. And anything else we want to hit before we go there? I know you got the big Carl Perkins show.
Well, we've actually got it on April the 4th at Henderson, Tennessee. All the proceeds, every ticket that's bought at the door or pre-sold goes to Carl Perkins Child Abuse Center, and that's a big show every year that we have, and that's really a cool deal and everything. And Tommy's been on it with me a few times, and that's really neat. Then if you jump on ahead in April to the 25th, Jonesboro, Arkansas, at the Earl Bell Community Center. It's going to be running the 25th, and that should be a cool deal. They're still getting the card together for that, but there'll be a lot of us out there for that. And then if you jump on to May 8th and 9th, everybody needs to come out and see Tommy and myself at a fan fest at St. Louis, Missouri. It's for SICW for Herb Simmons. And Tommy, that's always a fun, great event, ain't it?
Oh yeah, it's a heck of a time, and it's this year. It's the Brody Memorial show, so it's to be a part of that. It's big. A big shout out to Miss Barbara Bush, Goodish, and I'm excited about it.
Man, I was going to try to make it out to that one. Then I realized I've got EPW that weekend. I got to stick around for that. So hope you guys have a good time. I know it's going to be a big one.
You think if we already called and said we think you're going to be sick that day, they would realize anything?
They might suspect something now if I don't cut that out of the podcast. But so, guys, you've had your time as singles wrestlers, obviously, but you guys had a really, really great run as tag team champions and had some great feuds in Memphis as a tag team. And I guess with that in mind, somebody sent me a list recently and said, hey, check out this list of the 20, what this website or wherever they got it from. I think it's like some kind of wrestling website. It did like a vote. And this is what they came up with for like the 20 top tag teams in Memphis wrestling history, of all of Memphis wrestling history. So we're going to start at number 20 and work our way up. But just here on the front end before we get there, I just want to hear you guys venture a guess. Who do you think they would have picked as the number one tag team of all time for Memphis? And I'll tell you once we get there at the end of the show if you're right.
Tommy, you got a guess?
The Fargos.
I think that's cool, but I wish that would be it, but I'm afraid it won't. I would say I don't know. This is probably going too far back, but I think it will probably be, and Gene will probably tell me I'm wrong. It couldn't be Lawler and Dundee together, could it? But then it couldn't be Lawler and Jim White. I was trying to think who. If you went from, can you say what?
I'll say Lawler and Dundee's in the top 5.
Okay.
And Tommy's half right almost on his guess, if that tells you anything. I don't know what the ages are of the people who compiled this list.
Jack and, so he said Fargo's. You mean Jack and Don?
No, I mean, well, let's just stop that line of questioning, or we're going to give it away. So we want to build to it. You'll see when we get there. I don't know what age the people are that helped put this together, but you're going to see they skew a little younger based on some of these who's on here and who's not.
Okay.
But just, I mean, it's not like the lifeguards or some shit.
I was going to say, Gene, don't let me mess the whole dang question up or the answers up.
But I mean, just so people don't turn it off. It's not like, some recent tag team.
Well, but you're saying, if you're saying to me the younger era, I'd say you're going to be around the rock and roll or the fabulous ones or something like that. But don't answer me. Let's just start at 20 and go.
So number 20, and this is a tag team me and you talked about last week, Doug. The Assassins, Don Bass and Roger Smith, which could also be Fire and Flame and the A-Team, so on and so forth.
Tommy, I was talking about those guys from how their size and how they moved around as far as Roger Smith. He was really great, right, and a good attitude and everything.
Oh, yeah, Roger, yeah, he was good. I mean, them boys could bump, too.
Yeah, and I mean, Don could too, but this was the thing. Me and Gene kind of went back and forth last week a little bit about it. I told him, I said, do you know what wrestling school Don Bass come out of? I asked Gene this, Tommy, and he said no. I said, well, I wouldn't hardly believe it. I said, but the same one my dad come out of.
Is that right?
Yeah. So, and I don't mean that bad, but it's like I told Gene, now, Don would get away with doing a little and getting the most out of it before he would get on the mat and do any kind of mat wrestling, like my dad would.
Yeah, oh yeah, he was like Shakespeare.
Yeah.
He liked it walking and talking. I mean,
buddy of mine sent me a text last week and said, "Hey, when you and Doug were talking about Roger Smith and Don Bass, y'all didn't even mention what a great singer Don Bass was."
Oh yeah, great. Great guitar player.
Absolutely. Singing cowboy. Fun stuff. Number 19. Speaking of another guy who eventually carried a guitar and claimed to be a singer. Number 19, Billy Travis and Jeff Jarrett.
Oh, Billy. I had a great time with Billy. With Jeff. I'm cool with Jeff too, but Billy was fun.
Oh yeah, Billy, and Billy was a good worker. He could sell. He'd make it fire, come back. I mean, Billy was a good worker.
Well, and that's what I was talking about, Gene. Like Billy was, remember last week I asked you, I said, what did anybody, Tommy, me and Gene he was telling me some stuff and I was going back and forth with him, but I asked him what babyface was there today that worked and to get over like you did. And Gene said there is none. You know what I was talking about as far as a younger guy that was kind of handsome for the girls and sold a lot and everything, but to get yourself over. But Tommy, have you seen at any of these shows you go to, you see anybody that reminds you of yourself or a young baby face that gets sympathy?
It's some of these independent shows you'll see a little bit, but I don't know. It's. I mean, it's more spots now. You know, it's more about spots and just boom, boom, boom than it was painting a picture. You know, back then you sold to paint that picture, and kind of like Jerry Jarrett and Tojo Yamamoto. Jerry would get the daylights beat out of him to tag Tojo, you know. But that got Jerry over the selling did, and he got Tojo over doing the comebacks.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you can't get your spots in if you're busy selling the whole match, so you don't see a lot of it anymore. Now, the next team, number 18, I would have expected this tag team to be way higher up the list. It kind of disappointed. It kind of told me, like I said, that's what made me think maybe the age skews a little young. Number 18, the Interns.
Well, that's cool, which, I mean, a lot of people really love the Interns and Dr. Ken Ramey. Dr. Ken Ramey was kind of the gimmick guy, right, Tommy? I've heard some of the stories about Dr. Ken Ramey, and the cool thing is they brought them in to South Haven, Gene, and I'm trying to think what year that would have been. Maybe you want to go back and look up what year that would have been, but they brought them in, and the main event was Lawler against myself with my dad in my corner and Fargo in Lawler's corner.
Oh, wow.
And but the cool thing was I think I'd met them when I was kids, but, you know, they went out to the ring. You know, they were like one of Lawler's favorite teams and everything. So he flew them in from, I think it's Kansas City where they was all from, Tommy. And Lawler flew them all in. And, you know, they never, that I'm aware of, been unmasked. Surely not here. I don't know if anywhere they had. But anyway, they flew them in. They both, you know, they was dressed nice and everything. They played some kind of music for them. They went to the ring that Dr. Ken Ramey talked, and then they unmasked in the ring.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and the kicker was, I mean, you know, the people kind of didn't know what to say because they'd never seen them before. You know what I mean? I mean, there was the Interns. I mean, and I think most of the people like me, you would had to have went to wrestling your whole life to, you know, still be around to have saw them, but that was kind of a cool deal.
And I worked with them some when I first broke into business. You know, they wrestled in Tennessee. And, you know, of course, I met Dr. Ken Ramey. And, I mean, you know, they all complimented each other. I mean, you know, they were like they would do stuff behind the referee's back to get heat where, like today, you know, it's no holds barred and the referee gets as much heat as the heels do in some cases. But back then, you know, they do just a similar spots. You get a headlock, you shoot them off, you do old tackle, and they take a bump out, and the other intern would jump down like he's helping them out, but they'd switch. The people would go nuts. You know, I mean, just simple stuff.
I told Tommy one day, Gene, I was going to the doctor, and he said, Ken Ramey? I said,
you know, because of the fact, like you mentioned, Doug, they never got unmasked, at least not on TV or anything. Right. When I first got into wrestling in like 97, and Sammy would take us to shows like in Arkansas and Tennessee, like every veteran, like every older guy that was around, I was one of the original interns. I heard that from so many people. It became just like a joke amongst me and Kilgore and all of them. Like, well, I wonder how many of the original interns we're going to meet this weekend because they're everywhere apparently.
That's what you would either, like down there with y'all, you'd meet the interns. In a lot of places me and Tommy would go. If a guy was a little heavier, he was always the original assassins.
Yeah.
I'd say, okay. Then I met quite a few of the original Mighty Yankees. I guess that was, you know, from the past. And everything.
Yo. Hey.
But yeah, that's, you know, you got a few of those everywhere, Gene.
Oh, yeah. So here's a team we've talked about, and I know Tommy's familiar with them because the new Fabulous Ones featured these guys, the PYT Express, Coco Ware, and Norvell Austin.
Oh, yeah. Me and Eddie had worked an angle with them, boy, and they was over. I mean, got a lot of heat.
Oh, yeah. And, man, I mean, I love Coco, but Norvell, he was a different kind of cat. I mean, I love his stuff, which I mean, I love Coco too, and Coco's so athletic and everything. Coco's a great guy. But that Norvell, he just, oh man, he could get some heat.
Oh, well, he come from that school. Wasn't it Sputnik that broke him in?
I think so.
Yeah. Yep, they were partners for quite a while. So here's an interesting team that I know we've talked about one of them, but I don't know if we've ever talked about this specific tag team. Number 16, the New York Dolls, Troy Graham and Rick
Kirby.
McGraw.
I thought it was Kirby and somebody. It wasn't Roger Kirby?
Maybe earlier on, but I guess they're just referring to the 80s time because, they
Okay.
feuded with
I got you. And who it was Dream
Troy Graham and Rick McGraw.
Well, Troy was always Troy, and he was great. I remember him having his hair blonde, and I remember the gimmick deal, like he's talking about, had the little deal around the midsection and the tux, didn't they call them the Blondes and then the New York something, Gene, or was that somebody else?
Yeah, well, they were the New York Dolls, and then when Stan and Steve left, the whole deal was Jimmy Hart came out, did that promo saying they had died. He's like, the New York Dolls died, and Lance was like, what? And and then he goes, but I have a new tag team, and then he had new fabulous ones that he was going to manage. Then they pitched to the video with Jackie Fargo, and Jackie introduces Tommy and Eddie, and then that was the initial feud. But then Troy snaps his leg in Nashville, and then they pivoted to the PYTs.
I got you. Good deal. Well, I mean, they come up with it, which they sure pivoted, like you said. But I mean, like I said, I remember the angle that Tommy and Eddie did with Coco and Norvell, and man, it was pretty hot there for a while.
Yes, it was. I mean, yeah, and they was. I mean, the whole thing got over. I mean, but and like, Coco. I mean, Coco was good. I mean, of course, Coco went on with New York, but Norvell, man, he just was. He could get that heat too.
Well, that's the only thing that bothers me is like people only talk about the turn, and then they talk about how, oh man, people weren't going to accept new fabulous ones. But all the feuds you guys had were great. Like the matches y'all had with the New York Dolls before Graham broke his leg were good. You had the great series with PYTs. And then you guys had those matches with Phil Hickerson and the Spoiler, Frank Morrell, and those were all good. I mean, so you had a good run as a tag team. It's just,
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it was good. And a lot of people's going to take what they want. But I think Tommy and Eddie had good chemistry as far as just together anyway. And I think that's what, besides them being great workers, made for all those different angles that you're talking about, Gene. All those was good. That's why, I mean, anybody can say what they want or whatever about the booking or whatever you want to call them or whatever. But I think, bottom line, I think Tommy worked hard and I think Eddie worked hard. And they did have a good list of – think of those names that you just said. That's a great list of guys to work with. But I think Tommy and Eddie's chemistry was so good together that they could have worked with anybody. If they wasn't good, that would have probably been good.
Yeah, I love being the fabulous one, but I mean, Steve and Stan, they had done it. I think we'd have been better off. I think I said this before, is if they'd just had Eddie Hot Stuff Gilbert and Tommy Wildfire Rich. I think, but there again, we was in some good angles and drew good money. So, I mean,
and here's the thing, Gene. Even if, I mean, we look at now and hindsight, you see things and everything. But even if, like Tommy's saying, if they done that and then just the rub off Fargo, put Fargo with them for a minute or something. But I mean, you can look back now and see 1,000 different ways. But I mean,
yeah,
Jerry wanted to do what he done, and he done it. And knock on wood, anybody can say whatever they want. But Eddie and Tommy had a pretty good dang run and made some good money during those years.
Yes,
absolutely.
We did.
And people are still talking about it. So
yeah, Phil Hickerson's still hot about that money. Tommy, I told you about that, didn't I, Gene?
No, I don't know about that.
So you don't know about that? Everybody's supposed to be making the same thing. And one night, Tommy, I pitched his check over on the pitched his envelope over on their desk, and his check was in it. And they left and went back to their side. Him and Eddie did, and one of them brought Tommy's check over there, which is just the envelope laying there. So somebody done got it out and looked at it. Well, that's when they was working that program against Frank and Phil, and they was making. Eddie and Tommy's making about 500 more a week or 600-700 more than they was making. But Jared had the best line ever. I won't never forget this. He told me, he said, fellas, that's in their guarantee because they're gimmick money. That's gimmick money. Now, y'all are making the same amount but that's their gimmick money for the week. You don't think old Phil didn't scratch his head and Frank a little bit?
Sure feels like, well, why couldn't me and Frank be the new fabulous ones then? Get us some gimmick money.
I don't know if Phil or Frank was buying what Jerry was selling.
I bet they weren't. I don't think you could find a bow tie big enough to stretch around poor Frank's neck. He had quite the neck on him there. Here's a tag team we've talked about quite a bit, but number 15, the Dirty White Boys, Tony Anthony and Lynn Denton, but of course they also could be the grapplers too, depending on what you needed.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I was a young fellow. First time I was ever around them, then I was around them at different stages of my career and everything. But yeah, Tony and Lynn was always really cool with me. I was around Tony a lot more than I was Lynn, but I mean, when I was around Lynn, he was always cool with me too. And I think he was a great worker, both of them, as far as working wise. I think worked hard and was great workers. And I know Tommy's been around both of them, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was up there with Tony and Knoxville. And, of course, Lynn. I mean, Lynn from that old wrestling, he did a lot of that mat wrestling, Lynn did. So it was a good combination between them two, too.
I think saying last time I wrestled with him, Gene, he wanted to do some mat wrestling over in Arkansas. I think I looked at Tommy and shook my head, thought, what's he doing?
That's right. I remember we interviewed him not long before y'all had that match over there. I wish I'd have seen that.
Yeah, I thought he was playing, Gene, when he told me that I'd see or something. I thought, well, he wasn't playing. I saw. He didn't change much. But still, Gene.
Dougie reached out, tried to tag me, and I did the old heel move and turned, walked down the apron.
but I mean, Gene, it'd been years since I had seen him last, and man, he still looked the same. He told me he goes to the gym about every day or every other day or something. I mean, he looked great and everything.
So, number 14, now this is a tag team. I don't know that they've ever come up on here, so this is going to be interesting. The Rock and Roll RPMs, Mike Davis and Tommy Lane.
Tommy, was you ever around?
Well, that Mike Davis, I guess I was there when they did the gimmick. I can't remember if I worked with them or not, but Mike Davis, he came out of Atlanta. He used to do jobs on Atlanta TV, and then him and that young kid teamed up, and that's the next time I seen him, I guess, was in Memphis.
I got you. Good. Gene, I think like they come through here or something one time, and I might have worked a show or two just where I was around them, but I wasn't around them very much at all. Which I know they had success, and didn't they do good in World Class? And
yeah,
I mean, a few different places. I think they done good in Knoxville at one time for Bob, maybe, or Ron Fuller, or for both of those guys. But I mean, I know they've had runs different places, but I wasn't at the places when they had them.
Yeah, they feuded with Johnny and Davey Rich in Knoxville and that USA promotion that Fuller ran briefly. And then, like I said, World Class, they did well. The strangest thing I just learned recently was Tommy Lane, when he first got in the business, came in as like Archie Goldie Jr. He was like supposed to be the Mongolian Stomper's son or some such. I've never seen anything about it. I don't even really have any details on it. I just heard him saying it in an interview. And I thought, man, that's because you think, if somebody was going to play Mongolian Stomper's son, they'd have some big old guy. But he was even smaller then than he was during this RPM time. So I don't know. I'm going to do some research on that because I find that kind of odd.
What you saying? He was miniature Mongolian stomper.
Macro.
Yeah. They should have shaved his head and called him, mini Mongolian stomper, or micro.
That's
Mongolian.
A mouthful.
It would be hard to say. Poor Lance or whatever announcer would have to get tongue tied trying to say that. But just imagine Randy trying to say it.
Oh man.
Number 13, Bad Company, Pat Tanaka and Paul Diamond.
Man, they was both solid workers. I mean, Gene, they done well in AWA, and they had a good run here. Then they had that run in WWF, and I mean, I think they done good. And which Pat and Paul worked hard. I mean, I had a good time with Pat in the ring and outside the ring, and I wasn't as close with Paul, but I mean, everybody, the other guys that I know always said he was, a good guy and everything.
Yeah, Paul was cool, but Pat was, as far as just hanging out, so he's a little more outgoing, I think, than Paul was. So.
Yeah. I guess they're getting together, starting to do some of these conventions and stuff. I'm starting to see their names pop up on things pretty often.
Well, that's
Paul
cool.
Diamond was living in Huntsville at one time, and it seemed like every time I went to Huntsville, no matter what part of town I was at, it'd be at a mall or a Walgreens or whatever, I'd run into Paul Diamond. Like, Buntsville's a big place. How the hell do I keep running into Paul Diamond randomly every time I come to Huntsville?
I
He was
think
running like a promotion in a bar there at that time.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's been many, many years ago. But here, all right. So here's an interesting tag team. Number 12 on the list: Ron and Don Harris, the Bruise Brothers.
Man, y'all are both gonna laugh, but that's one of the first teams when I was breaking in that me and my dad worked against, and they was both just breaking in. So you don't think my dad didn't have his hands full? So they both big boys. You know what? They 6'5", 6'6" each, and everything. But I mean, they always listened to my dad, and we had good matches with them. But they was always really nice to me.
Yeah, I remember them. I'm not sure. I don't think I ever worked with them. But yeah, Ron, he was really cool. A lot of good times. Because I met, with Ron. Yeah, I guess he come to Atlanta, a couple of times, and hung out some.
They that one of the matches they had with you, Doug, is I found it on YouTube a while back. I need to share it on the Facebook page because there's one of the tag matches y'all had. It's from the Mid-South Coliseum where you and your dad are wrestling the Harris brothers.
Yeah,
like I said, it was early on. They didn't look nothing like the guys you remember from the 90s, when they were just starting out. They look like two more Brian Lees is what they looked like when they first started. It was like there was three of them, except their hair was a little darker. But they all three looked pretty similar, and I think they're cousins or something is what somebody told me. I don't know if that's true.
Ron and Don got started like Lawler and Jarrett with their buddies in Nashville. Sawyer Brown, remember the Sawyer Brown band or whatever, Gene? They was really behind them as far as pushing them, and like I think Ron and Don both was like bodyguards and did different jobs for the band and everything. But they really pushed them. But I mean, I think those guys done good. I think they done what they wanted to. Then they got out and got into business. But I mean, I think they done well with what they wanted to do.
Number 11, Jeff Jarrett and Jerry Lawler.
Tommy, Cat got stoned?
Yeah. I was just acting like, dang, I don't know. Shoot, I don't think I was there when they teamed up. I mean, I can see that a lot of contrast, but I can see that being a good team.
Yeah, Gene, I think like these people probably talking about like when they work against the Moondogs.
Yeah, that 92 stretch where they teamed for like a year or whatever.
Yeah, probably that deal, which I mean, I think that was good, and I think they drew some money. And I mean, Lawler was over, and Jeff was getting to that stage of being over, and I think realizing what to do and everything. But I think, like I said, I think that's where people would have put them as far as during that era or during that time.
If they stayed together for a year, I mean that had. I mean they would have stayed together. They had to been drawing money, so that.
Well, and it was good because if it kept Lawler tied up in a tag team with the tag belts with Jarrett, so it allowed guys like Eddie and some different people to have the unified title and be on top in a single spot for a change. So I was hoping that tag team was going to last for a lot longer than it did, honestly. But eventually you got to get back to what they know.
Well, and it's something like I said, Gene, just to change things up a little bit.
Number 10, the Nightmares, Danny Davis and Ken Wayne.
Tommy has worked with those guys a trillion times, haven't you, Tommy?
Hey, I will tell you what, some of the easiest guys you'll ever work with. I mean, they had good heads on the shoulder for the business and could work really good in the ring. I mean, when me and Johnny was in Continental, we worked an angle with them. I mean, it tore the building down. They was over. I mean, they got heat, I mean, they good. They highlighted each other. I mean, they had their spots they did, that they did together. And I mean, the timing, I mean, they were really good.
And here's the good thing, Gene. Tommy had them when they was hot as heels. And by the time I got there, I think they both switched, but then Ken switched back heel. But Danny was one of the most over baby faces by the time I got to Continental. And knock on wood, it was a good thing I got to work with him as I did like with Jerry Stubbs. But man, like Tommy said, Danny's got such a good head and was such a good worker and everything. Man, he was just a pleasure. But him and Ken together, like as far as we're talking about tag teams, that like Tommy said, I mean, man, it was hard to beat them at the time. They had their game faces on, and I mean, and I didn't never know either one of them not want to work. Did you, Tommy? I mean, they always took pride in their work, and man, they was great.
Yeah, we got a podcast where we're going back watching old Continental, and we're in '85 when it first crossed over from Southeastern Continental, and we're a few weeks in, and like they had a singles, like y'all got the tag team feud, but there was like a singles match on TV with Tommy against one of them, and we couldn't at that time when they wore the mask, their bodies were so similar, you almost couldn't tell which one was which I thought they should have kept the mask longer than they did because you really couldn't tell. And then they did the old intern, like you said. Tommy drop kicked one of them, and they did that big bump over the top rope backwards like they would do, which I think is Ken.
That's Ken, yeah.
And then he hits the floor. Danny leans down to check on him, and then Danny rolls back in, selling. And but yeah, I thought they kind of dropped the mask too soon. But man, that feud, they had hair and masks, and what y'all did the tar and feather gimmick on John. They did that on Johnny, and so I remember that feud vividly as a kid. It was one of my favorites.
Yeah, we had a good run with them. I mean, like you said, did everything. I made all the different angles.
People never got tired of it.
Hey, Johnny told me they're supposed to tar and feather Tommy, but right before they went out, he said, "No, just let them do you."
I moved.
What would it take for somebody to book you, Tommy, for a tar and feather angle these days? If somebody's listening, we always plug bookings. How much extra would they have to put in the old envelope for Frank or for Phil Hickerson to get upset about?
Johnny, it'd be tough.
Yeah, whoever the guy standing next to him be the one that had it tough. Tommy gets the payoff, but the next guy be the one.
You been calling Johnny back up again, huh? It's time to get back together, cuz. I hear you.
Back.
Number 9, Dutch Mantell and Bill Dundee.
Well, two characters. Nobody's gonna say anything here. I'm sure that would have had to been a heel tag team. I would think, right, Gene?
Yeah, they started out as a heel tag team, and then Buddy Landell came in and joined, and then eventually they turned on Dutch, and Dutch teamed with Lawler. That's how Lawler had left town, lost, lose, or leave town to Dundee, and they brought Lawler back because Buddy and Bill had tried to put Jeff's eye out when he was, or no, I'm sorry, they attacked Jeff. Jerry tried to make the save, and they tried to take out Jerry's good eye, and that led to that whole big feud. And strangely, most people more remember the Bill Dundee and Buddy Landell tag team because of the Bill and Buddy show thing they did and all that. They're not even on the list. They got Dundee and Dutch on the list. So.
See, I would have thought they would have made that list before Dundee. I bet Dundee and Dutch didn't travel together.
I bet they didn't, but for a trip or two. Anyway.
Can you imagine being in the back seat of that car with them too? That would have been something. Well, here's a tag team that I'm surprised didn't end up higher on the list. Number 8, the Blonde Bombers, Larry Latham and Wayne Ferris. Man, for those who don't know, it's Moondog Spot and the Honky Tonk Man.
Man, and people that a lot of people would probably put them, like Tommy said, maybe higher, people that remembers back as far as the Tupelo days, the Tupelo concession stand, the first one, the fight brawl deal with Lawler and Dundee and Wayne and Larry, but they had a good run with them there. But have you ever heard that was in, what would that have been, 76, 5?
Which one? The concession stand?
Yeah.
77, I think.
7?
Somewhere, 76 or 77, somewhere right in there.
I've heard Wayne Ferris say before, so you figure 76 $1,000 a week would be good, right?
Yeah.
And 76, wasn't that? Well, I don't know
Yeah.
what that would add up to today, and like today's money, but in 76, that would have been great, I would think, right?
Oh yeah.
I'd heard Wayne say before they brought him his check and they handed it to him. He just looked at it and didn't say nothing. So Lawler said, "That's good, ain't it?" And he's, "Oh, it should have been double that." And I thought,
some things never change.
yeah,
Still mad about it.
They said he looked at somebody, said Lawler did, and said, "I told you he would never appreciate anything." But I mean everybody that watched him, I mean, Wayne worked hard, I think, here, and Larry worked hard, I think, his whole career as far as the gimmick that he had and everything, which during those days he was more of a wrestler, but after those days he was more of a brawler and everything. But I mean, and both of them went on to have extreme lot of success. So.
And you
I
talk
don't know
about
what the
big guys
payoffs were.
up, and Larry Latham, he was another one like Phil. I mean, them guys, Roger Smith, he was another one that took him good.
Yeah. I don't know what the payoffs were up there, but I'd be willing to bet he wasn't making $1,000 a week when he left Memphis and was freezing his tail off up in Stampede, making all those trips for Stu Hart.
Nah, I wouldn't think so. And like I said, you gotta look at what $1,000 was in '76 to, you know what I'm saying, whatever it would have been equivalent to making whatever these days to have been that, but that was good money, I would think.
Here's an interesting one. Number 7, the Sheep Herders, Luke Williams, Butch Miller, and Jonathan Boyd. You Yanks.
I enjoyed working with them. You know, they were real nice fellas too. I mean, but they worked good. They're a good combination together.
Yeah, I thought I was around Luke and Butch more than I was ever around Jonathan, which I know he was the one that come through here. And at one point, it was him and Rip, wasn't it? They wasn't even Butch or Luke.
Remember it was him. That's and Rip Morgan.
You know your history.
And then Luke and Butch came in briefly, like in between. They were leaving. I forget which promotion they were leaving. They were headed to Mid-South, and they were in for like 2 or 3 weeks and wrestled the Fabs for a few weeks, and then it went back to being Jonathan Boyd. And I think Rip was gone by then. But Jonathan Boyd was on the tail end of his career by that point. By the time Luke and Butch came to Memphis. So.
Yeah, I was fixing to say I never really saw him that much. Just during that time, I never saw Jonathan Boyd other than that.
Well, here we go. The number 6 tag team of all time in Memphis. Dangerous Doug Gilbert and Tommy Wildfire Rich. What do you think about those guys?
What number was that team?
Number 6.
Can you be number 6 and number 1?
Yeah, don't spoil it, but most lists don't work that way.
Yeah, Gene put that in. We was number 1.
You think I went and switched it around?
Yeah, you changed it up.
Well, you'll be sick here in a minute, but we'll get there. I'll let y'all go ahead and talk about being number 6.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I appreciate everybody even saying whatever number you put me and Tommy at. But we worked hard, and I think we had some good angles. And knock on wood, like me and Tommy said before, I think it was pretty cool being like 2 of the last few that in angles here that actually, when it was still one of the only territories other than the national territories that was still in business, that we was able to be a part of that and able to work hard and draw some money there at the end. And that's a really special time to me. Everybody asks me like which times, which was a lot of times I really liked, but I had a good time during that period, and it was cool drawing some money and being involved with the stuff that was good.
Yeah, my favorite. I mean, yeah, and the angle with Wolfie and Jamie. I mean, it got over. I mean, it was a good time. I mean, business was good. I mean, as far as territories were being gone, but we were still drawing money, and I mean, we was one of the last ones standing.
Well, you know what's something, Gene, when you're looking around and people during the last couple of years, you'd see one fall, another fall, and then when it's just the 2 big companies and y'all are the only one left, it's, you think, I mean, and we've talked about this on here about us thinking and trying to make sure stuff's good and wanting it to be better, because when you see everything else going away, you're trying to keep what you've got good and ahead and everything. It was a test.
And I'm thinking,
definitely.
hats off to the fans too, because they love the old school Memphis wrestling, man. I mean, Memphis, everybody can say they did this or they did that, but the biggest part of that stuff started in Memphis.
And we've talked about it here before, but you knew you guys were doing some good stuff because there was so much wrestling to watch for free on TV. People could sit at home. If they were coming out buying tickets, you knew you had got them because they didn't have to do that by that point. But, they were so intrigued by what you did on live TV Saturday morning. They wanted to go see how it was going to play out. So it says a lot about how good those angles were.
And you know what, Gene, if you go back and you watch, which I know you and a couple of your buddies do this, but watch some of those TVs and watch the clips from the Coliseum and see the way the people react and everything. And like you said, that you actually got them and they're buying what we're selling. And I mean, they was into it so much, but there's so many different matches that me, Tommy, my brother, Dream Machine, but like 8 man, 6 mans, 10 mans, different with like the one with me and Tommy and Eddie and Terry Funk and I don't know who our other 5th partner was, but that was like a 10 man. And you had those, and you had the best of Memphis that you called that one. And there's so many different ones to go on there and look at. But Tommy, that was some cool times, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean that. And that's what I just, just the times and the camaraderie between the boys. I mean, it was just a good time. Everybody wanted to do business. Of course, we knew if we didn't put butts in the seats, then, everybody be walking around with a frown instead of having a good time. And well, like I say, when the people's happy, we're happy. And we stayed happy quite a bit.
Yeah, man, that best of Memphis match you mentioned, it's when you think back on that, I can't think of another time that they managed to get that many top stars in one match, in one big main event like that. When you think, that was really something special. When you think back on it, you think, man, that was never really done before or since, honestly.
No, it wasn't. And I mean, just that match. I mean, just the talent in that match alone. I mean, you still had, I looked one night at a card, Gene, you still had still 4 or 5 more matches that was good on that card without all of us that was in that one match.
That was a big payout night that night. I mean, you figure 10 of your top guys, you're looking at 3 matches probably just in that one match.
Yeah.
And the rest of them, like Dougie said, I mean, you always had 4 or 5 good matches in Memphis.
Yeah, back when I was watching it back then, I just thought, oh, cool, look at all these guys they got in this. And then years later, as I'm kind of studying this, I thought of it like you said, Tommy. I thought, good Lord, look at all the people in that ring they had to pay that night.
Yeah.
But packed it out, so it's worthwhile. So number 5 tag team, the Moondogs, Rex, Spot, Cujo, Spike, and Splat. They mentioned all of them here. You guys had a little run-in with the Moondogs there during one of your babyface times, didn't you?
Yeah, I think we worked with them. Me and Tommy worked with them, and me and Eddie worked with them.
You and Eddie did. And then later you and Tommy did, because I come across there's a weird 6-person tag team match on TV where it's Moondogs and Richard Lee against you guys and Miss Texas. Which I thought, how in the hell did that even come together? But yeah, y'all it wasn't like a long thing, but y'all had 2 or 3 matches. You and Eddie, I think, had more matches with them back when you guys had a little feud with them there. But I know they were absolute hell on the enhancement guys and would just beat them to death with chairs and stuff. But I assume that they were a little more chill with you guys, right?
Yeah, I don't think I ever really had too much of a problem with anything. I always got along well with Bill and Spike, and I was okay with Larry, and Richard Lee was always cool. But I saw something, Gene, but I was thinking it was in some 6-man was Lawler like our partner one time or something against the Moondogs. Maybe if you saw that.
Yeah, there was. I think I shared a video of that recently where it was you and Eddie and Lawler against the Moondogs. It was the one where they put the big barrels of water in the ring.
Yeah,
I forget what they called it. Because there was in the studio that day, you guys, you and Jerry Lawler had was it Mr. Clyde or somebody out there? Took him out in the parking lot and had the big barrel of water, and y'all were sticking his head in there, and he wasn't really going very far in. So y'all grabbed him by his legs and just dunk half his body in the
What do we call that match, Gene?
That's what I'm trying to think of what it was called. It was something water. I don't know. I think they were sponsored by Water Park that week or something. It seemed like it was promoting something. But because when I posted it on the Facebook page recently, Kevin came and put something about y'all had went. They had went and had the concept for that match, and he got a phone call, and like Jerry was like, "Hey, you need to come up. We got to get 2 or 3 barrels before TV." And so he said him and then somebody went scrambling around and found some, like just sitting outside a warehouse or something. They just jacked them from the side of the building and brought them up there. But he mentioned something about when you got to the Coliseum on Monday night, like there was a problem with using them. Like it didn't end up happening in the way that it was originally intended, which I thought when you guys were promoting, it's like, how the hell are y'all going to get a 50-gallon drum full of water into the ring unless you're going to fill it up after you get in the ring? But how are you going to do that while people are standing there waiting?
I'd take
I don't remember how. Yeah, I don't remember how it played out exactly, but
I was fixing. I saw the interview where he was plugging the match, and I was trying to remember the actual match. But yeah, it was a little different. It was a different idea.
Well, usually when things didn't go quite the way they were advertised, you wouldn't ever see really clips of them on TV. So there was never any follow-up. So I assume it didn't go exactly as they had hoped. But
as was planned.
Yeah, that happens from time to time. Number four tag team of all time in Memphis Wrestling, PG-13, JC Ice and Wolfie D.
Do what?
I knew this was coming.
Randy Hills must have been voting on that stuff.
Yeah, Gene per tight with Wolfie. He done swapped.
Oh, that's
around.
right.
Telling you, I did not have anything to do with this list other than this bringing it here.
You whooped that. Now I know why you done shaved your head like he had, and you are his uncle. He told me you was his uncle.
Oh, I'm the older one now? I'm his uncle? I was his cousin last time, but now I'm his uncle. Dang, I'm gonna be his dad if you keep on. Goodness gracious.
Well, Gene, we can say one thing, man. Jamie and Wolfie worked hard with us. Anybody can say whatever they want and whatever, but they was always with Tommy at times had some funny things to say, which I'd shake my head and laugh every once in a while. But man, every night we worked with them, they worked hard, and I mean, I think they tried to work hard all the time. But I mean, man, they we drew some money with them, and people. That was the thing. I think we've talked about this just a little bit before. When Randy Hill said that me and Tommy looked disappointed, I think was what he said. And Tommy, you might remember this, but when he told us that we was going to work with them, he said that the looks on our face was like it was disappointing. And I think Tommy said it right one time. It wasn't a disappointing look. It was a look of, can we draw money? Was they ready to draw money at this time?
Right.
Yeah, but that was a good tag team. They like Dougie said, they worked their butts off every night, and they ought to be on that list up there. So I mean, but they did, and anything we asked them to do, they was down to do it. I mean, yeah, they was real good about business. I mean, they was.
I know in all seriousness, they respected the hell out of you guys. I mean, I know that from Wolfie anyway, from working on that book with him. And I mean, Jamie has said, as much as Jamie respects anybody, I guess, but he's always spoke very highly of y'all. And they've always credited you guys for helping get them over to the degree that they did. That's cool.
Yeah, and I mean, and I think that's nice of them saying it. But believe me, Tommy told them enough that they should say it, right, Tommy?
I give him as hard a time in the ring as I did out of the ring.
Yeah, I heard about some of that too.
Yeah.
I think Tommy told him a few times, I would pop, and this would be funny. They'd say something about a finish. Tommy would say, you got anything to say about the finish? He said, do you think a person out there really believes y'all could beat us? And you talking about funny. Tommy just shake his head and walk off. I was laughing, which got me bless the heart.
But see, they took that stuff to heart, you know. It was always easy to pull their chain.
Yeah. I've met some people lost some bets in Ohio this weekend when Jamie showed up for that convention up there for Bobby Fulton.
Oh yeah, because Wolfie had called me and said something about him going. I said, "Well, that's good," and I said, "I'm glad y'all going." He said, "What do you think the odds are?" And before he could say anything else, I said 50-50. He said, "Of Jamie showing up?" I said, "Yeah, of anything." I said 50-50. I said, "That's what I'll stick with." Everything, but now I'm glad. I wish they do more stuff, Gene. I mean, as long as they want to. But it's like I told Wolf, if Jamie wants to do it, I want him to. If he don't, I want him to do what he wants to do.
Yeah. Also, I told him, I said, man, everybody likes these rare photo ops that you can't just get anywhere. I was like, somebody needs to have all four of y'all at a convention somewhere, and because there's never been other than that picture of y'all in the dressing room, but no fans have a picture with all four of y'all at one time. I think there's a lot of people that would pay to do that.
Oh, that would be cool. But and the thing, we all like one another, no matter what one of us four ever says, or Tommy playing says anything, or Wolfie mad, or Jamie, whatever. But man, we all got along, and it didn't matter what it was in or what anybody said. We never had a problem.
Number 3, the Rock and Roll Express, Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson.
Man, they've done it a long time and have been great for a long time. Now, bless his heart, they about to kick Robert out, but he's still doing good. They both doing good, ain't they, Tommy? Yeah,
they doing good. Shoot, I remember when I first time I switched hills, Jerry Jarrett said, and Ricky just started the business. I said, that's where he got that name Punky from. I did a little angle with him on Memphis TV and started calling him Punky Morton. But as far as tag teams, they were really good. I mean, they drew 9-time champion. I mean, they was a hell of a tag team.
Oh, well, it's like we were talking about you, Tommy. Like Doug was saying, that was their forte. They came into the Carolinas and just got beat to death by the Russians, but sell. But then they pulled it off in the end, and boom, they were over. They won their tag belts their first night in the territory. And then they were over after that because that's what they did night in and night out. Ricky would just get his brains beat in, and then they would make the comeback and they would win. And that's a formula that could still work now if anybody bothered to try it. I got tickled in Corinth at the big arena show last year for EPW. Doug's tagging with Ricky, and I thought, well, Doug will have an easy night. Ricky will go in there and sell, and Doug can tag in like Robert Gibson at the end and make the big comeback. And Doug's in there getting wore out through most of the match. I was like, dude, you don't know the formula, man.
Yeah, that's what Ron Simmons and JBL asked me. They got to the back. They walked by me where I was getting dressed. I was just dressing out in Hall Time. And Ron Simmons said, damn, Doug, said, Ricky Morton get paid for that? I said, for watching me? I said, yeah, I think they pay him. And they both died laughing. But yeah, I laughed. It was funny.
It was fun sitting there at the gimmick table with you and Ricky, because boy, Ricky's about like Jimmy Valiant, man. He's a hustler on that table, ain't he? I mean,
Tommy, I'd say, look at that, Gene. He'd do everything but rope him with his arm in. I said, oh.
I figured you're gonna tell me to grab a headlock on him.
He come close.
He pulled out with him signed card. That's a rare signed card right there. That's the last one. I don't know if they even make any more of them. I don't think you could find another one. That guy to get 20 feet away with that card, he'd pull out another one and slap it down on the table.
Oh, Ricky's made a good car salesman.
Oh yeah. You get him and Jimmy Valiant together at a flea market or something, and they sell the place out because boy, they're both got that carny in them like old Burt Prentice, man. They're gonna hustle, which is what it's all about, right? Tag team number 2 of all time, Jerry Lawler and Superstar Bill Dundee.
Well, it's so there was a Lawler and Dundee in there, right? Okay.
Yep.
Well, hell, didn't you done say them before though?
We had Lawler and Jarrett, and then we had Dundee and Dutch. And you had guessed in the beginning that it might be Lawler and Dundee in number 1, but they're number 2. So now that begs the question: who's number 1? Who have you not heard yet?
Even Stan.
There it
You
is.
you can't say that, Tommy.
Number one.
Well, he kind of give it away when he said, "Well, it had to do with Jackie Fargo."
But who did you not hear on the entire top 20 list of Memphis all-time tag teams?
Well, that's sort of a giveaway too.
The Fargos were not even on the list. What the hell?
That's right.
No, they're the real number one, Tommy.
Dang,
As far as we're concerned, they are.
Say the Fabs was number one.
Number one's the Fabs.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's cool. They had a heck of a run in here, drew a lot of money.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I'm not saying they don't deserve it, but it's like, how do you have a top 20 teams in Memphis wrestling history and the Fargos aren't on it anywhere? I don't know.
Well, Jackie did, but Jackie, he, now that I think about it, I mean, Don would come work for a while, but he'd end up getting fired or leave or something. And so really, Jack, I mean, as far as tagging, and then they bring old Nuthouse in, but he didn't get out of the Nuthouse but about every 6 months.
Just for holidays.
Jackie, I can't. I mean, I'm sure he had some tag partners. I think. That I was fixing to say Lynn Rossi, but that was Lynn Rossi and Bearcat Brown. So I don't know. Jackie might have did more singles than he did.
Well, I'm going to tell you, Gene, if whoever sent you this sends you that 6-man top 20 tag team, I guarantee you, I bet you, I guess he'll be up there around number one on it.
If it ain't Tommy Tojo and George Goulas, we're not even reading it.
There you go.
We'll not read it on here.
Oh, y'all are real funny today.
They had them 6-man tag belts 3 different dang occasions.
I couldn't keep them off of them. They were just.
I'm gonna tell you,
more natural. You think of a more natural team than those 3? I mean, my goodness.
I'm gonna tell you, if they didn't have George with Tommy, he was with Bobby. I guess they swapped out.
Or Bobby. Bobby was with him more than I was. Bless his heart.
That's probably right. But now, Gene, that's a good. I mean, you go over that list of 20. That's a good list. So I would say they might be with 2 or 3 teams near you, Tommy. But I might think of. But
I'll tell you another good tag team. What Don and Al Green back in the day. They were good. And of course, Lynn Rossi, Bearcat Brown. They was over but they did the. They worked more for Nick Goulas, Lynn Rossi, and Barrett. They were more Nick Goulas guys.
Wasn't Don and Al the first Heavenly Bodies, Tommy?
I think so. They were the Heavenly Bodies. Imagine that. They were.
One of those ironic names, I guess. I don't know. But.
Well, that's what I'm saying now. Now, to me, Don always looked like he was in shape, but Al just looked like a big bully, big brute or something.
He looked like old redneck you see down at the bar is what he looked like. Yeah. Big Al Green. Oh, Lord. I remember him. He used to go to the old Hippodrome and see him and Don. And Don was a wrestler. And I don't know how they teamed up, but Don, Don was, of course, Don did that Mr. Wrestling gimmick too, I think. Because he could, of course, Don could wrestle too. I mean, Big Al, he was more that barroom brawler type.
Did Ron ever get a hold of you with that chisel, Tommy?
No, I've seen him.
Right.
No, he didn't ever get. No, I learned that. I do that stuff myself.
I don't blame you.
Tommy said
horror stories about that.
Tommy said no.
I seen that talk about. He put it on his fist, and it'd be as wide as a screwdriver head. I mean, it was thick. Yeah, I'd probably been the night I quit if he had to do that to me.
Yeah, I saw a picture of that thing. I was like, "Good grief!" And it's still, you can see all the dried blood on it, still on it from over time. I think Bo James had one of them. He got from. He was good. I guess he was good friends with Ron towards the end of his life. But no, I wouldn't want no part of that, man. That didn't look fun at all. So hey, one more question. I was going to ask you this before we even started recording, but I'll just do it here on the show. So over on the 91 USWA show. We're in August 91. And, of course, you and Eddie aren't there. And we always look through the Observer each month to see what they're saying about things. And there was a story one week. No, this wasn't an Observer. This was in the Torch. This was what's his name, Keller,
Wade
put in
Keller.
the torch that there was about to be a competing promotion come to Memphis. It was going to be called the American Wrestling Federation, and then the next week they called it something else. But it was going to be, the top feud was going to be Eddie and the Snowman, Eddie Crawford, and they listed you, Bam Bam Bigelow, Pez Watley, a couple more people who actually was working in USWA at the time. And for a couple of weeks, they said it was coming. They're going to run the Pipkin building because USWA had went back to the Coliseum. And then all of a sudden, he says, nope, it's not happening. And it just kind of went away. Do you remember anything about that? Who was going to be behind that? Or was that just a rumor?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, it was one of Reggie's. We'll have to ask Reggie for sure, but I think it was one of Reggie's partners. I was trying to think of what his name was. It was a guy from Little Rock. And he run over in Arkansas, and I think he'd made some big he supposedly had some money behind him and everything, but I don't think the money.
Wasn't that Womack guy?
Lee
Womack?
I think that was him.
I was like, his name got mentioned in there. When you said Reggie's friend, I remember like, oh yeah, that guy. So I didn't know he was behind it. I thought he was just some guy they had managing.
No, he was actually, bless his heart, I think he wound up doing some time or something. He was kind of a businessman, kind of a flim-flam guy and everything. I don't know whatever. I'd ask Reggie what happened to him, but one time, y'all are going to laugh at this, but he was supposedly going to book a show over somewhere in Arkansas, and he had me against one of the Bon Erics, but it was one of the Bon Erics that had done passed away or something. Somebody sent me the thing, and I said, what in the shit is this? And then Lawler got one of the cards, and he asked me, he said, what is this? I said, you ain't going to work for this guy, are you? And I said, no. And I really said no when I looked and seen what he put on a poster and everything. I thought, gosh, this guy's got to be.
You would have won by forfeit.
Yeah, but yeah, his name was. I laughed because I just saw him a few times, and they introduced him to me as Curly. I said Curly, and like you said, Gene, he managed a few times, didn't he?
Yeah, in '93 they brought him in. He managed. I think he managed that tag team, the War Machines, that was there briefly. But he was only there for just a few weeks.
Did they take y'all's gimmick or what?
Apparently I took theirs. I don't even remember them being there. But
but
that Womack guy come out and started cutting promos that, made Reggie B sound like he was Shakespeare or something. And so the guys on the show, like Josh, was like, how in the world do you think this guy got on TV? I was like, come on. You know how that guy got on TV. He's somebody's supplier of something, like... Cool. I was like, I guarantee it's one of Reggie's friends, and I guarantee you he's bringing the stuff.
Well, and two, he'd get Lawler deals like appearances and stuff, and for good money. But he was a business type guy, but he would just get into a little bit too shady every once in a while. But he was a salesman. He'd talk his way into businesses and everything. Even sell a few shows here and there that would be okay. But then he would always, if he ever got his hooks in, it seemed like he would always go too deep and get himself into trouble.
Okay, well then that explains that. That's what I told them. When your name came up in there and Eddie was involved, I was like, all right, I'm gonna ask Doug. Maybe he'll remember. I was like, there's been so many people threatening to start up promotions over the years. Like he may not even remember. They may not ever even talk to him. Who knows? But I'm sure both of you guys have been advertised on plenty of cards from people that never even spoke to you, just throw your name on there.
You know what, Gene, that's so true. And me and Tommy have talked about it before, the sad part of it is the people that see that and everything, and they have no idea that we haven't been talked to about it or anything. That just makes us look like the bad guy when we don't show up, but then when we don't even ever know anything about it until somebody comes up to us and says, hey, I was in such and such town and you were supposed to be there. And then we go, when was that? And then we said, no, we wasn't supposed to be there. But, none of the people know that.
Right. They just hear that you didn't make your flight or you didn't show up or whatever
Right.
the case may be.
That would be right. But Gene,
Well,
we
all right.
went through the top 20 tag teams, right?
We did, and kind of disappointed Rough and Ready wasn't on there, but
Well,
I bet they were like
say,
21 probably.
I was going to say Rough and Ready. That was Boss Winners. We ain't said nothing about Rough and Ready or Boss Winners and everything in a while, but I thought it was a good list, and I thought it was probably pretty fair, Tommy. Which, like I said, whoever you said this with, they'd have probably 2 or 3 teams that they'd want to say should be in there and everything. But I thought it was a good list you had, Gene. Like I said, I appreciate everybody putting Tommy and myself in there. And like I said, I think every team in there worked hard, and you had your variety pack. But listen, man, Gene, we think, like I said, Tommy's going to be this Saturday. Would you say New York, Tommy?
Yeah, this Saturday I'm going to be at the big event right there in Brentwood, New York. And then April 10th and 11th, I'm going to be in Pineville, Kentucky. They got a big convention there. But it's a 2-day deal. It's a Holler Heroes. And Friday night I'll be wrestling after it. And then I'll be, Friday, Saturday, both I'll be at the signing. And then Friday night I'll be wrestling.
And like I said, Tommy will be there this Saturday, Gene. I will be in Jackson, Tennessee this Saturday at the Picture Perfect Event Center. Myself, Jerry the King Lawler, a lot of the USA TCW superstars. And then April 4th, Henderson, Tennessee for the Carl Perkins Child Abuse Center. And listen, Gene, we appreciate you dropping the tag teams on us today. And Tommy, I hope me and you covered everything we need to, but thanks for everybody for listening. If you need Tommy, myself, for appearances, for signings, to wrestle, or whatever you need, just give Gene a shout and he'll get you hooked up with us. But listen, thanks everybody for listening. We hope you all had a good time. Peace.
Relive the glory days of Memphis wrestling with the Retro Wrestling Review USWA podcast. Each week, we go back in time to review USWA Championship Wrestling from the 1990s, episode by episode. Join us for watch-alongs, behind-the-scenes stories, and exclusive interviews with people who were there and lived it. Whether you grew up watching it or you're discovering it for the first time, this podcast is your ringside seat to Memphis wrestling history. It's all a part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Listen now at USWApodcast.com.
In the heart of Tennessee, born with pride, Doug and Tommy taking rings in stride. Memphis legends never backing down, wrestling warriors, they wear the crown. USWA glory in their veins, fighting legends breaking chains. In the squared circle they made their name. Podcast champions, it's their claim to fame. On the mic they roar, on the map they soar. Dangerous conversations, fans wanting more. Podcast kings ruling the waves. Memphis wrestling raising the stakes. From title belts to Hall of Fame, Doug and Tommy carved the name. Fists of fury and hearts of gold. Every story, every fight retold. Tales of glory, laughter, cry. Tennessee warriors with hearts open wide. In the ring or on the air, legends living without a care. On the mic they roar, on the mat they soar. Dangerous conversations, fans wanting more. Podcast kings ruling the waves. Memphis wrestling